Happy Friday in the glorious city of Fall River. Mayor, thank you so much for hosting us to celebrate spring, but April as Organ Donation Month. Not only on the United States, Joe Biden has proclaimed that a couple days ago. On Wednesday, the governor has proclaimed April as Donate Life Month as well. And then the mayor is going to wonderfully declare it here today to celebrate organ donation and to encourage people to check the yes box and register as an organ and tissue donor when they get or renew their driver's license, ID, or real ID. My name is Matt Boger. I have the wonderful privilege of representing the federally designated organ procurement organization, New England Donor Services. It is our job each and every day to help save and enhance lives through what I call the miracle of organ donation. This story is about saving lives. Our motto, which is proclaimed here, is donate life. We don't want anyone to pass away. We are about life, period. Having someone die to save someone else's life is a zero-sum game. But there's an opportunity to help save someone else's life through the gift of organ transplantation. I will say that you're more likely to need a transplant than to become an organ donor. And we're here to hear the stories of people who've been personally touched. I'm so glad to introduce Hal, who's got a wonderful story. Him and a good friend are going to share their story. Hal, if you don't mind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You're going to be right here. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for having us here.
Appreciate you coming.
When Matt said I was going to speak at the mayor's office, I said, well, where? He said, Fall River, and I said, Fall River? Well, that's the best place in the world because you have Battleship Cove.
Absolutely.
So that's one of my favorite places to go. But I just want to be brief and say that, as somebody who received their heart transplant in 2016, prior to that, I was a very active person. For 10 years, I worked for the district attorney's office up in Springfield, prosecuting people who hurt women and children. Then the next 10 years, I ran the local state police academy, where I trained police officers. And then I practiced law for another 10 years. So when I got sick, it was really a life-changing experience. And when I say sick, I'm talking about being so sick that you couldn't take care of yourself. So it was very, very shocking. And fortunately, I was lucky enough to receive a heart transplant. And what I want to encourage people to do is to become donors, because this is a problem that we can solve. If we were able to increase the amount of people who became donors, more people would be allowed to live. And that's how easy it is. And the second thing, when you don't decide to become a donor and you pass, these valuable organs are just going to go to waste. And a lot of people say, well, I want to go out of the world with the same equipment that I brought in. Well, we lose teeth all the time, and we also have our gallbladder out and our tonsils. So there's no divine plan to come into the world and leave with the same equipment. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is this journey of a heart transplant has allowed me to meet the donor, and not the donor, but the donor's family. And this gentleman to my right, who his son was so nice to become a donor, and I have his heart. We have become great friends. So this is an opportunity to expand the definition of family. And I love this man. He's from Plymouth, and I call him my Plymouth cousins. And he's going to tell you about my donor, and he's going to tell you about a side benefit that this wonderful experience of becoming a donor can give you.
We're now related, Helen.
We are related, yes. Yes, we are.
Thank you.
I'll just step behind you.
Thank you all for having me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, State Representative. I come today for my son, Jack, also for my family, and also for all of us here today. My name is Richard Tian. I'm a single father with 4 grown sons. Their names are Colin, Ross, Jack, and James. I'll begin with a little history of the Tian family. I was born to two marvelous parents, Jack and Dorothy. I am one of 10 children of a proud Irish family. We were raised with great values of love, loyalty, honesty, trust, and most importantly, faith. We were taught to be positive and respectful to all. I, in turn, instilled in my 4 sons these same virtues. They are all special young men. They are truly men for others. My sons and I are organ donors and very proud to be. Our life choices prolong the lives of many so that they can live longer and love longer together with their families. My 3rd son, Jack's life choices were proudly honored by his 3 brothers and me. We would absolutely grant his final wishes. This is exactly what Jack was all about, helping those in need. Jack now carries onward in you, Hal. Jack is a true hero and a warrior, which we have always known. I'm extremely proud, as Jack's father, to write this tribute in honor of my beautiful and beloved son. Jack's #1 love in his life was his family. He would greet you with open arms and give you a great warm hug. He would bring joy and brighten any day with just a smile. He was very charismatic and personable. Jack loved movies, listening to music, and reading books. Jack loved animals, he loved hiking, and nature trails in New Hampshire's White Mountains. He found peace there. Jack loved sports his entire life. He was a gifted and talented athlete who captained many of his teams. Jack loved attending Boston College football games with his brothers and me. In conclusion, Jack Tian lived a quality life. He was a trusting, faithful, and respectful, the true definition of a gentleman. Jack was able to nurture the best qualities in every life he touched. We are all blessed that he was a huge part of our lives and always will be until we meet again. Jack has redeemed God's promise of everlasting life and peace. Jack's story does not end with death. His story carries on with life and light and truth and hope and love. The definition of a hero is a person who is admired for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. Our Jack Tian certainly qualifies as a true American hero. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Richard, thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate it. I will note that, Richard, you and I are the same height, and I'm noticing your wonderful shoes. I was wondering how high you got. The other thing I will say is that Jack was a magnificent individual. My son right now is in Virginia wrestling for the U.S. national tournament, and your son was a champion himself. So I take great pride in that. And hearing these amazing stories of Jack living on through someone else is great. We're here to celebrate organ donation. We're here to also identify some facts about organ donation. There is no age limit to registering as an organ and tissue donor. 50, 60, 70, 80, and yes, even 90, we encourage you to register. There is no age limit for it. In fact, we had an individual who is in her 80s who is a recent kidney donor. I'm so honored to work with many colleagues. We are 315 people strong, representing all of New England. We have people on call 24 hours a day to help save a life. One of the great aftercare specialists is a great colleague who does wonderful work and has a personal story to share as well. Rachel, thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. And hello, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us in celebration of Donate Life Month. This is a celebration that I am honored to be able to attend, as I am a very grateful liver transplant recipient. When I was born, I had a disease called biliary atresia that severely impacted my liver and limited the amount of time that I had left to live. That would be 7 days to be exact. As my parents' first child, they were told I had only 7 days to live until my incredible donor family said yes to donation. It is not lost on me that amidst likely the worst days of their lives, I received one of the world's greatest gifts, which was a second chance at life. I think of my donor and his family every single day, as I would not be here without their generosity. My transplant happened 29, almost 30 years ago. In June of 1994, I was 14 months old, and not only my life, but my family's life was positively impacted by donation. When someone gives the gift of life, it affects not only the direct recipient, but all of those who love and care for them. It truly is a ripple effect. Without my transplant, I would not have been able to graduate college, get married, or purchase my first home. I cannot wait to see what my future holds and the ways that I can continue to participate in the Donate Life community. This month is all about celebrating our donor heroes that gave the gift of life. Those individuals who checked yes at the registry, registered online, and those families that in the time of great distress, they think to give to strangers and give the gift of life. All of the people involved in this community are among the most special and the most appreciative. Thank you again for allowing me to share my story, and if you have not, please consider and check yes at the registry. Thank you.
Awesome job, Rachel. And received a transplant under the age of 2?
Yes.
We're not going to say how old you are, but we can do a little bit of math. How long have you had that?
This will be 30 years.
30 years. I mean, that's part of the miracle. I will say that Massachusetts is among the forefront of transplantation, and this kind of stuff is truly amazing. We've got a few more stories, Mayor, if that's okay. I know you're a very busy guy. I really do appreciate that. I am so glad to have Gene here. Where's Gene? And his family, who's been personally connected to organ donation. So we're here for a couple reasons. Mostly to really give gratitude to the RMV, because 98% of all people who register do so at the RMV. They play a significant role in the organ donation process. Not only here in Massachusetts, but every state in the United States is required to present the question, would you like to register as an organ and tissue donor? I do want to thank the Massachusetts Department of Health, putting on a great campaign right over here, mass.gov/organ donor. mass.gov/organ donor. You can register as an organ and tissue donor. But the RMV, DMV, or BMV in all states is the major form that people do that. Getting this heart on your license means that you have a heart and could give. I do, again, want to make sure it's clear. Organ donation is very, very rare. Only 5% of all deaths happen in a manner where one can become an organ donor. And in fact, you're more likely to need a transplant than to become an organ donor. So this sign says, I'm here thanks to my hero. The HERO Act is registering as an organ donor. We don't want anyone to pass away, but life can be produced from that. Gene, thank you so much for coming. Bring your family up and share the story. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Judy Reposer. I work here in the Fall River Water Department. Didn't realize that I would be speaking, so if you hear a lot of I'm sorry. First, my late husband is Jean's first cousin, and their daughter had a kidney disease. What's the name of the disease that she had? Alport's disease. Come to find out, she needed a kidney. I knew that I had O negative blood, so I knew that part was out of the way. So I became a donor, and I went through the best physical you could ever go through, because in order to give to your recipient, you have to be healthy to do it. She is married now. She has one child, and I really couldn't have done it without my parents. They were so dedicated to make sure that we help people as much as we can. I can't think of anything. Am I missing anything?
Nope.
Tell about
17 years.
Oh, that's right. It's 17 years, and because of the fact that our donation went so well, my sister became a donor herself. She became an anonymous donor, but she ended up meeting her recipient. It's an amazing process. I can't tell you enough to please, if you can, donate. Say that you're a donor. It's a miracle to watch somebody who was so gray that morning to see how pink she was after it, and she still is.
And we also have another daughter, our youngest daughter. She has the same disease as Michelle. And I kind of had an idea of just the symptoms that she was going through. We never seen it with Michelle because we didn't know nothing about it. And the education that they gave us as parents totally helped us out. So now we had to go and look for another donor because, of course, Judy couldn't do it anymore.
I would have.
I know you would have. So we ended up, and fortunately, we were so lucky that she is a paramedic in the city of Fall River. So we had abundance of people going to try to see if they could donate, where it was so much that the hospital called Bethany and told Bethany, could you please stop sending people here? So she ended up, again, getting a kidney that we've known her donor since she was a little kid. And she surprised us because she kept saying, I didn't get any motion, I didn't get any notification. And we were at a fundraiser, and they called Bethany up, and they called us up and her donor. And I'm like telling my husband, oh my God, they're going to give her money to help us with her medical. Well, that's when Rachel, her donor, came out and said that she was a perfect match. And that was 5 years ago. So I cannot, till my dying day, thank Judy and Rachel for giving our daughter's life. So just go and sign that, check that box off. Thank you.
The idea of life is amazing, and this gift trumps everything else. So right now, there's over 103,000 individuals waiting for a life-saving transplant. 80% of that is waiting for a kidney transplant. So the opportunity to help save someone else's life is magnificent. We don't have enough organs to go around. In fact, 13 people die every 9 minutes because of the lack of organs to do that. So finding a living donor is wonderful. Our organization is responsible after someone passes away, but we encourage people to consider that. It's an amazing step to be a living donor. It's a much easier step to just register as an organ donor, but these are great stories. I do want to thank the elected officials here for giving us this time. I've got one more story to share with someone who is a fantastic individual and has spent a lot of her career helping the United States with the VA. So, Cheryl, thank you so much for coming here. I'm putting you on the spot. I apologize, but would love to have you say a few words.
Sure, I'll keep it short. Since I am short, right? Hi, I'm Cheryl Andrade. I'm actually from Fall River originally. Proud graduate of BMC Durfee High School. Yes, 1985, a good year. At the age of 52, I found myself needing, choke up. Found myself needing a liver transplant out of the blue, literally out of the blue. Woke up one morning, went to the emergency room because I looked a little yellow and gotten a little nervous and found out that day that my liver was not going to make it. So that was quite the eye-opener. So anyways, on the positive note, I am here today simply because a 24-year-old girl from New Hampshire checked off the box. Didn't realize she was going to be a donor so soon, obviously, at 24. She passed away from an aneurysm. But as a result of that, I get to live and appreciate every day of my life. And not just my life, but everything around me, the people around me, the support that I got from the doctors, from the nurses, from just everybody in my life that came together to help me get to that point that I could be able enough to receive the liver, because I was so sick. I was in and out of Charlton Hospital for about a year, bouncing. I lost consciousness, would not know who I was, what was around me for 2 weeks at a time. Basically, they told me I would have roughly 3 weeks to live if I didn't get a liver. And on April 14th, yes, April, and on a Good Friday, if it means anything to anybody, but to me it does. It meant a lot to me. My surgeon walked in and said, "Do you remember me?" And I said, "Yes." "Can I go home?" I just wanted to go home. I was so sick of being in the hospital. And she said, "What about a liver today?" And I said, "What?" "What are you talking about?" And she said, "I have a liver for you today." And that was on April 14th, 2014. I'm sorry, 2019. And she came in and she said, "We'll have a liver in you by 4 a.m. this morning." And here I am. And I cannot say enough about what it means to be a donor. I never thought I would be in that position, but by the grace of God, a 24-year-old girl checked off that box. And I've had contact with the family. I have not met the family, but the family was very pleased to hear that she was able to give to 7 other people. So the thought of that is just miraculous. And I will be in contact with them this month on my anniversary to let them know that I'm still going strong. She is not forgotten. I think of her all the time. Good moments, bad moments, she's with me. And thank you. That's it. Have a good day.
Giving appreciation to the donor is what it's all about. Again, we don't want anyone to pass away, but we could not do this without the collaboration of both the state and federal government. New England Donor Services does work 24 hours a day to help save lives, communicating with the Department of Public Health and the RMV and all the hospitals in the region. Representative, thank you so much for being such a wonderful supporter. We did an event similar to this multiple years ago before a thing called COVID, and your connection with your constituents, your passion to bring attention for something that's important that can truly help save a life is inspiring. So thank you so much for saying a few words, and appreciate all that you do up on Beacon Hill.
Thank you, Matt. Wow. Have you run out yet and gone online and registered for that heart on your driver's license? If you haven't, please do so. In the darkest of days for one family brings such light and life to another. And that's what this is about. And but for those people who check the box, you would not be standing here, and your daughters would not be here. And I remember she spoke a few years ago here at that event, yes. Your daughter who's in EMS. Many of my colleagues at the State House have a direct relationship to transplants. My family, I have a niece who was through a Living Donors, had 2 transplants, and without that selfless act, and as has been pointed out by Matt, a very simple act, because clearly you don't know what you're doing when it's happening, but boy, the impact is transformative. So I'm here to support what the people from the New England Organ Bank do in Massachusetts. Thank the RMV, because that takes a lot of work to make sure all of this gets processed, and the Department of Public Health. Please consider saving a life by checking that box and being an organ donor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Representative. Really do appreciate all the wonderful do. And Mayor, before I call you up, I do want to recognize one of the foremost leaders in organ donation research, just became a colleague of ours, Jim. Jim, if you don't mind just saying a few brief words, would love that, because this is such an impactful thing. We look at data to make sure that we're being as efficient as possible, not only here in Massachusetts, but honestly, New England Donor Services is a national leader. We are at the forefront. We want to educate people about this, but Jim, saying a few words would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Jim Rodrigue with New England Donor Services. I want to share that in Massachusetts, we have over 4,000 people waiting for their gift of life currently. Last year, thanks to the great work of my colleagues at New England Donor Services, 1,200 people in Massachusetts received their transplant, their gift of life. Unfortunately, 250 people waiting died while waiting. They didn't make it to that transplant finish line. We here in the Commonwealth are very, very giving people. If somebody is in need, we help them. We don't even ask questions. We just do what we need to do to help them. I encourage you to help your neighbors, your friends, people you don't know who are waiting for a transplant. It's as simple as everyone has said before me, simply check the box. You will give the gift of hope to all of those who are waiting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim. And Jim is responsible for, I don't know the number because I've worked on them, but 7 or 8 federal grants, specifically working with this state and state agencies to help support organ donation here locally and nationally, and honestly even worldwide. Mayor, I know how busy you are. If you want to get a drink of water, or I know there's a cough. Here's a lifesaver for you. Yep, this is your, this is your house. You can do what you want. But thank you so much for spending your morning with us. I know that you're a very busy person, but hearing people, some of which have been educated in this very town.
I was just wondering if we went like around the same class.
There we go. There we go. I'm not even going to get into the age thing. But Mayor, thank you so much for helping celebrate this and appreciate your time.
Obviously, this is a very special event in Fall River. It really cracks me up. I thought Richard was getting a symbol of a finger to put behind my head when I was talking.
Number one.
There you go, number one. And then I'm talking to Rachel before this starts, and I said, "Are you a recipient?" She goes, "Yes, I was." I said, "Oh, how long ago?" She goes, 30. I said, 3 years ago? She said, no, 30. She looks about 20. I'm saying, I know they have advanced surgery, but I was like, how the heck did that work? No, but very, very nice. So we're gonna acknowledge this very, very special day, this very, very important activity that saves lives. This is hands on the chest, boots on the ground, helping people to live longer. So we're gonna have a proclamation from the city of Fall River, and it's gonna read like this. Whereas there are more than 103,000 Americans with more than 6,000 in New England currently waiting for a life-saving organ transplant, and whereas there are over 1 million life-enhancing tissue transplants each year that are made possible by the generous donation of corneas, bones, skin, or other tissue, and whereas we can all help to save someone's life and benefit up to 50 recipients by signing up to become an organ and tissue donor by enrolling in the Massachusetts Donor Registry when we apply for or renew our driver's license, by registering online through mass.gov organ donor or registerme.org. And whereas 98% of all the people in Massachusetts who register become a donor do so at the Registry of the Motor Vehicles, it is fitting that Massachusetts surpasses the national goal of signing up 50% of our driving population to become donors and is dedicated to making it fast and easy to sign up to save a life through this Registry of Motor Vehicles program. Whereas this observance pays tribute to organ and tissue donors and their families whose decision to donate life enables others to receive life-saving organs and tissues for transplant. So therefore, I, Paul Coogan, Mayor of the City of Fall River, do hereby proclaim April Organ Donation Month. Have a heart, give a heart day, encourage residents to register as organ donors. It is very, very important, and from the panel that you heard talk earlier, they are saving lives every day. I want to acknowledge this to Matt and his whole crew. Where is he? Is he behind me?
Everyone, yes,
Okay.
sir. Thank you so
Very
much.
nice, Matt.
Really appreciate it.
Congratulations.
No, thank you, sir.
Thank you for bringing all these people.
Oh, no, without a doubt. These are, and what you do is so important. Lastly, I want to thank everyone speaking here. Representative, know how busy you are. Mayor, I know how extremely busy you are. I do want to do a picture at the end, much like a wedding. I do want to thank the media for being here. There's a phrase, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? It does if there's someone to capture it and share these wonderful stories. So greatly appreciate that. It's an important thing to educate people. That's one of the things we do, help educate people and share these stories. So thanks a lot.